Look at your hands. Every atom in your grip, from the calcium in your bones to the iron in your blood, was forged inside the heart of a dying star. We are, quite literally, the universe experiencing itself. But for decades, we have stared into the dark, cold silence of the cosmos and asked the same haunting question. Is anyone else looking back? We've spent billions of dollars on radio telescopes and deep space probes, searching for a signal, a hello in the static. We look for green men, flying saucers, or Dyson spheres. We expect them to find us, or for us to find them through a deliberate act of communication. But the reality of our first encounter might be far more subtle, far more eerie, and far more indifferent to our existence than we ever dared to imagine. What if the closest thing to aliens we've ever found wasn't a biological creature or a radio greeting, but a piece of ancient, drifting space junk from a civilization that might not even exist anymore? It happened in October 2017. An object drifted into our neighborhood, moving so fast that it couldn't have originated from our sun. It didn't belong to our family of planets. It was a tourist, a drifter from the interstellar void. It came from the direction of Lyra, traveling at a staggering 58,900 miles per hour. We named it Oumuamua, Hawaiian for scout or messenger from afar. But as we began to track its path, we realized this messenger wasn't delivering a message. It was simply passing through, and it didn't seem to care that we were watching. At first, the scientific community tried to categorize it. In science, we love boxes. We tried to call it a comet, then an asteroid. But as the data poured in from the Pan-STARRS 1 telescope in Hawaii, the boxes began to break. Oumuamua was shaped like nothing we had ever seen in our solar system. Most celestial objects are roughly spherical or jagged clumps. Oumuamua was elongated, either a long, thin needle or a flat, pancake-like disk, hundreds of feet long. This extreme aspect ratio is unheard of in natural space rocks. But the shape was only the beginning of the mystery. As Oumuamua made its swing around the sun and began to head back out into the deep dark, it did something that defied the laws of orbital mechanics. It sped up. In physics, objects don't just accelerate in the vacuum of space unless they are pushed by something. Usually, when a comet speeds up near the sun, it's because of a process called outgassing. The sun's heat melts the ice inside the comet, creating a jet of gas, a natural rocket engine. This creates the iconic glowing tail, or coma, we see in the sky. But Oumuamua had no coma. There was no dust, no gas, no trail of debris. Space telescopes like Spitzer looked for any sign of heat or carbon-based exhaust and found absolutely nothing. Yet the object was being pushed. Imagine you're walking through a deep, untouched forest. You expect to find sticks, stones, and moss. You understand the rules of the forest. But suddenly, you find a polished piece of titanium lying in the dirt. It's not a bird, and it's not a tree. It shouldn't be there, but there it is, reflecting the light in a way that feels intentional. That is what Oumuamua was to our solar system. It was an anomaly that didn't fit the natural history of our neighborhood. This is where the conversation turns from curiosity to a chilling realization. Avi Loeb, the chair of Harvard's astronomy department, looked at the data and reached a conclusion that most scientists were too afraid to say out loud. He argued that if we rule out all the natural explanations that don't fit, like hydrogen icebergs or dust bunnies made of frozen nitrogen, we are left with a terrifyingly simple alternative. The object was being pushed by the sun's radiation. For that to happen, Oumuamua would have to be incredibly thin, less than a millimeter thick and very wide, like a sail. He proposed that Oumuamua was a light sail, a piece of ultra-thin technology designed to be propelled by the pressure of starlight itself. We are currently developing this technology ourselves for missions like Breakthrough Starshot. We are trying to build what we might have just seen drifting past us. Think about the scale of that. If Oumuamua was a piece of technology, it means we weren't looking at a living alien. We were looking at their trash, or perhaps their graveyard. We were looking at a derelict ship, a discarded sensor, or a buoy, drifting through the ocean of space for millions of years. It could have been traveling through the void for eons, long after the civilization that built it might have collapsed into dust. It is the cosmic equivalent of finding a shipwreck on a deserted island. It proves the island isn't empty, even if the sailors are long gone. It tells us that someone else was once curious enough to build, to launch, and to explore. The emotional weight of this is heavy. We often imagine first contact as a grand event, a landing on the White House lawn or a signal that changes the world. But what if first contact is more like a ghost story? What if we are just late to the party? The universe is 13.8 billion years old. Earth has only had radio technology for a little over a century. The window of time for two civilizations to exist at the same time and in the same place is infinitesimally small. Oumuamua might have been a scout, but its creators could be 10,000 years dead, their home planet reclaimed by its own sun. The most terrifying part isn't that we found it. It's that we almost missed it. Our current technology is only just beginning to reach the level where we can spot these interstellar visitors. Oumuamua was only visible to us for a few brief weeks. It was dark, small, and fast. It was only because it happened to reflect our sun's light at just the right angle that we noticed it at all. It's gone now, moving faster than any craft we could ever build to catch it. We are left on our porch, staring at the empty road, wondering what just drove by. This raises a question that should keep every space explorer awake at night. If Oumuamua was just the first messenger we managed to spot, how many thousands of others have passed through our backyard while we were looking the other way? For billions of years, while we were still swinging from trees, while we were building pyramids, while we were fighting world wars, have these silent metallic scouts been drifting through our system? Are we living in a crowded neighborhood, just too blind to see the neighbors? We are now building better eyes. Projects like the Vera C. Rubin Observatory will soon come online, designed to scan the sky with unprecedented depth and speed. We expect to find more objects like Oumuamua, perhaps one every year. And when we find the next one, we won't be caught off guard. We are already talking about interceptor missions, spacecraft that sit in orbit, waiting for the next interstellar visitor to arrive so they can chase it down and take a photo. Until then, Oumuamua remains the ultimate Rorschach test for humanity. To some, it is a weird rock that we don't yet have the math to explain. To others, it is the smoking gun, the first tangible evidence that we are not the only ones who have ever looked at the stars and wondered what was out there. It reminds us that the universe is not just big. It is old. It is a vast museum of things that were, things that are, and things that might never be again. We are a young species. We are the new kids on the block, shouting into the dark. Oumuamua might have been the universe's way. If you were the one to decide where the next deep space probe should go, would you chase after the ghosts of the past, or keep listening for a voice in the future? Do you believe Oumuamua was a natural phenomenon we just don't understand yet, or was it our first documented contact with a piece of alien technology?